So I handed out their certificates a little over a year late, and they're not signed. So if you want Don's signature on it, then come and see him. In my defense, I did lose the whole packet of them, so they were found. Okay, honey, do you mind praying?
Father, as we come before you, we thank you for your mercy and grace, Lord. Father, we thank you, Lord, for the anointing that flows from your cross. I pray that you hide my wife behind your cross, Lord, as she speaks, Lord. And let the anointing flow in through our ears, be anointed in our heart to receive it, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, I know last time I spoke, I was telling you guys how usually I have a lesson done, if not a series of messages done, before I say I'm ready to speak. And the Lord kind of done a little doozy on me last time, and he did this time too. So evidently he's pulling me out of my comfort zone, which is okay. I'm going to be talking tonight about failure. And I've titled my message, Try, Try, Try Again, which I am sure that everyone has heard that little saying. I looked up some information about that saying to just kind of see where it came from. And a gentleman by the name of William Edward Hickson created this little saying in 1836 in a children's rhyme, The Singing Master. And I should have looked that up just to hear it, but I didn't. The chorus line in it says, "'Tis a lesson you should heed, try, try, try again." And I know as growing up, and I've seen my kids do it in a sense, but I know growing up when I would fail doing whatever it may be, my peers, it be my mom, my dad, grandparent, or whatever, would say, "Get up and try again, just get up and keep going, get up and try again." But, in that moment, you're looking at them like, but I've already tried it, and I tried my best, and I've tried everything, and I'm just a failure. I just failed. I just can't do it. And so that's kind of how I viewed that little saying, even though, you do it, you say it, I say it too. So, and I'd like to say that I have, as an adult, grown out of thinking like that, but if I have to be honest, I'm probably still a work in progress when I feel like I have failed and the Lord or someone around me tells me, just keep going. I still kind of get that attitude. I've already done all I can do, and I don't want to do any more. I've done the best I can, and so that's it. So it was kind of funny. A few weeks ago, I was unpacking some boxes, which I have never-ending boxes to unpack. And I was unpacking some boxes, just kind of seeing what I needed to get out right away and what I didn't. And I have a tote that I keep all of my little notebooks that I have all my notes and just studies and stuff that I've done. And I come across a little report card, I guess you could call it, of myself. And as I kind of looked across it, I had graded myself. I had a mom, a wife, a friend, a nana, a daughter, and just kind of so on, and graded myself on those areas. And I'm sure it was probably in a lesson that I had heard or one that I was reading. They were probably talking about this. And that's usually why I will do those little things like that. And I had just a whole lot of F's. And when I was thinking about that, it reminded me of Michelle's math paper. And Dawn and I could not remember which one it was, but I was pretty for sure it was Michelle. And so I asked her. I remember her math paper came, she brought home one day, and she tried to convince us that the F she had on her paper stood for Fahrenheit. And so the F's that was on my report card did not stand for Fahrenheit. It stood for failure. And And that is apparently, I don't know where I was because I can't pinpoint exactly when it was I done that. It's probably been within the last year, year and a half or so. So evidently I was having a pretty bum day that day or something because I was viewing myself pretty much as a failure. And I think that if we're honest with ourselves, we all get there. We all get in that slump sometimes when it just feels like things are falling apart, and it seems like everything you touch is falling apart, and so of course you're the one to blame. But you will all be glad to know that as of this year, August the 15th, we are now celebrating National Failure Day. So, but this day is not to wallow in your self-pity and your failures, but it is to recognize the importance of learning from your mistakes and understand the significance of failure. So significance means the importance of. So this tells me that there is an importance in failing. And that importance is found if you are learning from what you feel like you are failing at. And you don't give up. You just keep going. And so some man with a whole lot of more pull than I have created this National Failure Day. So all of us that have failed can take a moment of silence and remember all of our failures and see if we learned anything from them. So then I want to ask, so what's the right way to overcome a failure? So first, we need to recognize, hold on a minute. We need to recognize if we fear failure. If you have a fear of anything, fear is a spirit. It is not of God, it is a spirit. So that is a spiritual matter. So if you have a fear of failure and that keeps you from doing things, then that becomes a whole different level. So fear can cause you to question everything. And it's okay to pray about everything with a willingness to do what the Lord says and not argue why you can't. But it is not okay for you to say, like, come up with 101 reasons why it would be bad for you to do that, or why it's not going to be okay for you to keep going and trying and trying and trying. You know, our world takes risk every day, and I hate to say that they probably take more risk out in the world than what we do as Christians. You know, fashion designers throw clothes out there that they don't even know if people are going to like. They spend probably thousands, if not $1 million or more. I don't know the fashion industry. I've seen some of them model things that they show. I wouldn't wear half of any of what they show. But cars, people make cars. They don't know if they're going to sell. They don't know if people are going to like them. But they take that risk. They put all of this money. NASA, I mean, come on. They spend millions, if not billions of dollars taking a risk of putting something in space, like we need another thing in space. But my point is, people take risk like this all the time, and they don't think anything about it. So, second, we need to realize we cannot have progress or change without failure. And the rate of human failure is 100%. We are all going to have failure in our life. So Proverb 24:16, for a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. You don't just sit there. When a baby is learning to walk, I know my kids, they're like, Mom, they're going to think I'm beating on them. I said, anybody that has ever raised kids knows that they look like a punching bag when they're learning to walk. They've got bumps and bruises and scratches and all of that stuff. But do we tell them, no, you can't get up, you can't move because you're going to get hurt? No. We tell them, you're okay, get up and keep going. You know, maybe don't walk over there, and walk over here, you know, and we learn how to safeguard them in areas that we need to, but we don't tell them to stop trying to walk because it's a progress of life. If they don't learn to walk, you're carrying them everywhere. So, let's see. This can be a stumbling block or a stepping stone It's all in how we look at that. A failure can keep us stuck exactly where we are, or it can be a stepping stone to keep us to figuring something else out, doing something different. So when Thomas Edison was asked how many times it took him to invent the light bulb, he said one time. The bulb, this is what he said, the bulb was invented with 1,000 steps, and each step was a learning step towards success, not a failure. Do you think that if he looked at every one of those times as a failure, we'd have light bulbs today? Maybe we would, but it wouldn't have been from him, because I think he would have stopped. Edison never dwelled on his failures. Even when it cost lots of money, he simply said it was fun spending it. I think I've heard that before. So I thought that was pretty comical. And that was a few of his inventions that he made that comment on. The things that we never heard about, because the man was inventing things all the time. Third, just because you were dealt, just because you were dealt a hard life or things seem a mess all the time doesn't mean you can't succeed. How many times have you seen people or talked to people or heard their story about their hard luck life, and I know, but this is the reason I'm in the ditch, and this is the reason I'm never getting out of the ditch. This is the reason why I feel the way I do. I had a hard luck life, and I'm not moving from here. You can get in that frame of mind, but if you get in the frame of mind that, yeah, I may have been brought up like this, all these bad things may have happened to me, but it doesn't. I have the ability to say it stops here, and I can do better. I can make lemonade out of lemons, as they say. So something else that I kind of wanted to go over is just this little story of a man we all know, kind of his history, his background. So at the age of 7, his parents were evicted from their home. And at the age of 9, his mother died, and he went to work to support the family. The age of 11, he lost that job. The age of 23, he went into debt with a partner that died 3 years later. He assumed all the debt and went bankrupt. Age of 28, he proposed to a woman that rejected him. At the age of 37, he ran for Congress and failed, tried again 2 years later and failed again. A few years later, he had a nervous breakdown. I wonder why. That's a lot. And this is just some areas that he failed. He had successes in his life. At the age of 41, his son died. And the following year, he ran for land officer, and he failed. At age 45, he ran for Senate and failed, and 2 years later, ran as a vice president and lost. He tried for Senate again and failed. At age 51, he was elected the 16th president of the United States. So does everybody know who that is? This is a history lesson. Yes. I mean, wow, the life. You know, this is a guy that was served a hard life. This was not an easy life, but he didn't stop. And I just thought that story of how you always hear all of the good things about him, all of the things that he succeeded at, but when you dig, and that says a lot about him, but when you dig into the things that he failed at, but he kept going, that says a whole lot about him. So this just goes to tell you that if you have a passion or a goal of something, it's like starting a business or homeschooling your kids or going for a new job or doing anything like that that has been laid on your heart. You have the ability to succeed at that. You do not have to have a fear of failing at everything. I believe that even if I know Michelle and Nikki both has tried different curriculum, and it's like, this isn't working. This isn't working. But do they stop? No, they can't stop because their children need to learn. So you have to try something else. And then if that doesn't work, you try something else. And I know sometimes you feel like you're at your wits' ends. I don't know how my girls do it. I do not know how they do it. They are certainly a blessing for me to watch because I know it is a lot. But they have a willingness to homeschool their kids because that is the passion that God gives them. And so no matter what, they can seek the Lord for the answer of what they need to do. And they have to be willing to make those adjustments, not throw up their hands and quit. So Micah 7 and 8, rejoice not against me, O mine enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me. Progress or change in life can look pretty messy. So has anybody ever set out to organize anything and it's like a bomb went off in that room before it got better? I know when we all gathered up here one time, which it probably needs to happen again, we organized that building. And we had to bring everything. Well, we tried to stop with the junk at the door and just load it on the trailer. We brought everything in here and we sorted everything out. We boxed up what we needed. We labeled it and we put it all back in there. And it looked so nice and neat, but the process of it was a mess. And I know I'm that way. In our shop right now it gives me anxiety when I go in there. And so I can't be in there for very long. But I know they just because we had trusses in the shop, and so all of our stuff is in, like, just literally stacked. I can see things caved in. I can see things tumbled over, and it's really bothering me. But we couldn't move them because the trusses were in there, and we couldn't put anything in the way of the trusses. Well, praise God, they got the trusses out of the way yesterday, and now I want to get in there and do that and move all that stuff around. But I know, and I have to tell myself it's going to look really bad until it gets better, and it'll get there. Unpacking, moving, all of that is so overwhelming, and it's like, this is never going to end. And then when you get everything unpacked and you think you have everything set out where you like it, you look at it and you don't like it and you move it all around again. And so things can get pretty overwhelming and messy. But in order for something to be completed, in order to get in your home and have your home feel comfy and have all your things out you like, there is a very, very long, messy process. And sometimes, I know for myself, and I can't speak for anybody else, I just sometimes want to be like, to heck with it. I just take the box to the thrift store. If I don't have it after 6 months on my walls, I don't even want to look at it. So, because it just gets, I feel like it's like, what have I done wrong? I can't get anything done. It's automatically, what have I done wrong? What am I doing wrong? And so I feel like a failure at it. I feel like I can't stay on top of it like I used to. And I'm thinking, okay, Jana, you are much older now, one. And I don't know what happens after you turn 50, but it's like, I can't remember anything. And so it's just been a challenge. It has been a really big challenge. And so I'm reminding myself that I cannot just throw my hands up and quit. I can't be a failure at this. And just many different things that we're facing in our life right now. It's just so easy to say, I give up. I give up. But then I have to stop and think, if I give up, then is things really, one, going to get any better? And then I'm not walking with God helping me if I'm just like, I give, and so there's a lot of processes that you have to think through. So let's see here. Proverbs 14:4. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. All right, guys, I know that we don't use ox anymore for farming, but This has to do with farming. And so can anybody guess at what this scripture is talking about? Messiness. If so, planting and harvesting doesn't come without the whole lot of poo that comes from the ox. So, it doesn't life. It doesn't happen without failure. It doesn't happen. Change doesn't happen without risk, and you will never please God by playing it safe. When He's trying to push you, He's pushing you out of a comfort zone, not for you to just always have bumper guards around you at all times. And so, with this, and I was just thinking of this. That marriage doesn't come without failure. A messy house is followed by all your kids, the fingerprints all over the fridge, the mud in the furniture, the crumbs in the furniture, all that stuff. It is not because you're failing at everything. It is because this is life. You're not failing at housework. This is progress. This is life. This is what a blessing is. And so if you want to plow the field and you want to have a harvest in life, then you got to own the ox. And you got to step in the poo. So I'm just going to tell you, you got to be willing to step in whatever it takes to get there, because it's pretty messy. Anytime anybody's ever making changes, it can feel like sometimes that's all you're wading through. But I heard that, I have to admit, I was listening to somebody preaching, and I heard them talking about this, and I thought that is so true. We don't get to have all these wonderful good things without working for it. We have Jesus, and we don't have to work for Jesus, but look at all He endured for us. And I think that it's important that we figure out, right, the quicker the better, how we view ourselves when we're in those moments that we can throw our hands up. Are we going to take the time and encourage ourselves and tell us to keep try again? Just try again. Or are we just going to throw our hands up and stop? And because I'm going to tell you something, if failure is what defined Thomas Edison, or if it's what defined Abraham Lincoln, I mean, these were people we still talk about today, guys. We're enjoying light. So, I mean, it isn't what defines you. Where you fail, where you mess up in life, it isn't the end. It isn't. You are the only one that will probably remember that failure, and you're the only one that's going to beat yourself up over that failure. And you will do a really good job about it. You don't need anybody else to help you. And so I know that I have just been dealing a lot in this area. Like I said, I'm still a work in progress. And I think when I come across that little report card, and then when I started kind of praying about what to do for tonight, and the Lord brought that report card back up to me, we're no different than anybody else. Me, Dawn, Relisha, Brother Fred, all the other leaders in the church, people that just come and they're just a part of the family, that maybe they don't hold a position or anything. We are all no different. We are human beings. And we fall. We fall all the time. But I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes that failure, when you fall so hard and you get back up, sometimes that can get you really close to God really fast. And it can really draw you, if you let it, into a deeper relationship with the Lord. And you appreciate what the Lord has done for you. You know what He has been there walking through with you and helping you and picking you back up off the ground. So tonight, and I don't know what it is, when you're writing these things out, it's like, I'm going to be up there for an hour. 10 minutes later, you're done reading it. But anyway, I know this wasn't very long, but I just would like for you to take a moment tonight and just ask the Lord to show you, if you don't already know, how you're using failure in your life. So are you using it to ask yourself, am I a prisoner to it, or is it growing me? Is it a stumbling block, or is it a stepping stone? And the Lord, if you have a willingness to work that out in your soul, He will show you and He will help you, because we cannot avoid failure. We absolutely, like I've said, we absolutely will fail people. We will fail ourselves. There's just no way around it. And so knowing how to deal with it in your soul is the difference. It's the difference in what people see when you're going through hard times. It's the difference on, it encourages you because it becomes a testimony in your life. And so I just would really like for you guys to take a few minutes tonight and just pray about that, kind of seek the Lord over that. And I'm just going to have Caleb play a song that the Lord, I don't know why, the Lord just gives me songs sometimes with these messages. So I'll have him start that if you guys would like to come down and pray.